Rain pounded the pavement as Emily stepped out of the cab, her heart heavy with unease. She thought she knew Michael, the man she had built her life around, but something tonight felt unbearably wrong. The street was dimly lit by flickering neon, shadows clinging to every corner. Emily whispered to herself, "Please, let me be wrong." Her breath caught when she saw him, Michael, her husband, walking with Rebecca, her closest friend. They weren't just walking, their fingers were locked together like lovers. Emily froze, the world spinning, her stomach twisting with betrayal. She wanted to scream his name, but no sound came out. Michael leaned close to Rebecca, his lips brushing her ear. Emily's eyes widened in disbelief. "Michael," she whispered under her breath, her voice breaking. Her chest felt like it was shattering piece by piece, and the night suddenly became a cruel stranger she never wanted to meet again. Emily stumbled backward, her shoes splashing through shallow puddles, the cold soaking into her bones. She wanted to confront them, but her body refused to move. Her mind screamed questions. Why Rebecca? Why now? She remembered their shared secrets, the nights Rebecca comforted her during fights with Michael. The betrayal cut deeper than a knife. Emily whispered, "She was supposed to be my sister in everything but blood." Her breath came ragged as the realization hit. This wasn't just Michael's betrayal, it was Rebecca's too. She pressed against the wall, tears blending with rain, her heart spiraling into disbelief. The street blurred in her vision, and she suddenly felt like a stranger in her own life. The cab driver honked impatiently, but Emily ignored him, her eyes fixed on the figures receding into the night. Her chest ached with every breath, as if her body itself was rejecting the truth. Michael had sworn loyalty, whispered promises of forever, yet here he was unraveling every vow. She wanted to run to him, scream, demand an explanation, but fear rooted her to the spot. Her mind replayed their wedding vows, now poisoned words echoing like curses. "I don't even know who you are anymore," Emily muttered, her voice hoarse. It was then she realized the truth. The man she loved had always been a stranger she never really knew. Emily's hands trembled as she fumbled for her phone. The screen flickered with water droplets, blurring Michael's name and her contacts. She wanted to call, to demand an answer, but her thumb froze above the screen. What if he lied again? What if he denied everything, twisting her pain into madness? Her chest heaved with sobs she couldn't hold back. "Say something," she begged herself. "Just say something." Instead, silence swallowed her. The phone slipped from her grip, crashing into the puddle at her feet. Watching it sink beneath ripples felt like a cruel metaphor, her marriage drowning right before her eyes. Emily sank to her knees, hands pressed against cold concrete, her tears indistinguishable from the rain. The world felt silent, except for the hammering of her heart and the echo of betrayal in her mind. She thought of her children asleep at home, unaware their family was unraveling. She thought of every sacrifice she had made, every moment she had trusted him. And now, in the cruelest instant, it was gone. "You destroyed me," she whispered to the night, though her voice was drowned in the storm. The truth burned inside her. Michael wasn't just unfaithful. He was a stranger she had been living with all along. Emily sat at the kitchen table, staring at a half-finished cup of coffee, her fingers tracing the rim absent-mindedly. The house felt too quiet, the kind of silence that gnawed at her bones. She thought of Michael's laughter filling this very room, a sound that once made her heart swell with warmth. Now it echoed in her memory like a cruel reminder of what she had lost. She whispered, "Was it all a lie?" Her children's drawings were pinned to the fridge, tiny hearts and smiling stick figures that spoke of family, love, trust. She pressed her forehead into her hands, the weight of sacrifice pressing harder than ever. Every meal cooked, every sleepless night tending to sick children, every compromise. Had it all been for nothing? The betrayal burned through her chest, searing the foundation of her life until she felt hollow. She remembered the early days with Michael, when they first met. His charm was disarming, his smile the kind that made strangers believe in love at first sight. Emily had trusted him with everything, even parts of herself she had never shared with anyone else. She once believed He saw her as his world, but now she wondered if she had only ever been a placeholder for something he craved elsewhere. Her heart squeezed painfully at the thought. "I gave him all of me," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. "And he gave it away like it meant nothing." She gripped the edge of the table, nails digging into wood, fighting to hold herself together. The realization carved deeper. She had lost not just a partner, but the version of herself that believed love was safe. Later, she stood in the living room, her gaze fixed on the wedding photo above the mantel. Michael's arm was wrapped around her shoulders in the picture, both of them smiling, blissfully unaware of the storm to come. The photo now felt like a mockery. She whispered bitterly, "We promised forever, Michael." Her heart twisted at the memory of their vows, the carefully chosen words that meant everything then, but nothing now. Her children's toys scattered across the floor reminded her that the betrayal had not only shattered her but threatened the innocence of those who depended on her. The room felt heavier with every passing second, suffocating her beneath the weight of broken promises. She clutched the photo frame, torn between smashing it to pieces and holding on to the last fragments of what once was. Emily's sister, Sarah, came by that evening, sensing something was wrong. Sarah was younger, vibrant, her eyes always quick to notice the unsaid. She asked gently, "What happened, Em?" Emily's lips trembled, but words felt like shards in her throat. She wanted to spill everything, to scream about Michael's betrayal, but shame silenced her. Tears finally broke free, sliding down her cheeks as she muttered, "He's not who I thought he was." Sarah wrapped her arms around her, the embrace strong, yet Emily still felt fragile, like glass about to shatter. The comfort was brief, for nothing could erase the wound that betrayal had carved inside her. She pulled away, staring out the window at the rain returning, whispering to herself, "I don't even know who I am anymore." That night, Emily sat by her children's bedside, watching them sleep. Their peaceful breathing was a painful contrast to the storm raging inside her. She brushed a lock of hair from her daughter's forehead and whispered, "I'll protect you, no matter what." Yet the fear clawed at her chest. How could she protect them when she no longer trusted the foundation of their family? Her mind spun with questions, doubts, and the crushing realization that she was now alone in this fight. The betrayal wasn't just hers to bear. It would ripple into their lives, shattering the innocence she so desperately wanted to preserve. As tears slipped silently down her face, she whispered, "I'll be strong for you, even if I break inside." Emily sat at her desk, the glow of her laptop casting harsh light across her weary face. She hadn't planned a search, but something inside urged her. Her fingers hovered before typing Michael's name into his email account, a password guessed too easily. When the inbox opened, her heart pounded as she saw threads labeled with Rebecca's name. She clicked one, and her chest tightened. Lines of affection spilled across the screen, words Michael once whispered only to her. "You said those to me," she muttered, voice breaking. Her stomach churned, bile rising as she scrolled further. Their digital intimacy mocked every ounce of her devotion. She slammed the laptop shut, trembling. The betrayal was no longer a suspicion. It was undeniable proof carved in cruel pixels. Emily stumbled into the bathroom, gripping the sink as nausea consumed her. Her reflection stared back, a stranger's hollow eyes framed by streaks of mascara. "Who are you now?" she whispered to herself. She splashed water across her face, but it couldn't wash away the disgust twisting inside her. Every image of Michael with Rebecca now felt burned into her mind. She had trusted him with her body, her soul, her children's lives, and he had traded it for secrets in the dark. Her breath came ragged, her body shaking uncontrollably. For a moment she considered screaming, but only silence emerged, suffocating her like a second skin. She pressed her palms to the mirror, forehead resting against cool glass, trying to recognize the woman who stared back. Later that night, Emily sat cross-legged on the floor of her bedroom, surrounded by old photo albums. She flipped through wedding pictures, anniversaries, family vacations, all poisoned now. Each smiling moment stabbed her chest, reminding her of the lies hidden beneath. She whispered, "Were you already gone then, Michael?" Her tears fell onto glossy photographs, blurring the faces of the man she thought she knew. She wanted to tear the pages apart, but couldn't bring herself to destroy the evidence of a life she once cherished. Instead, she pressed a trembling hand against a family photo, her children's gradient, Michael's arm secure around her. "This was supposed to be forever," she sobbed, her voice echoing in the empty room. Emily's phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number lighting the screen. Hesitant, she unlocked it, her breath halting as words appeared. "You deserve to know the truth. He's been with her for months." Her fingers shook as she read, dread twisting into fury. She whispered, "Who sent this?" Her mind raced, unsure if this was cruelty or kindness. She typed a reply, then erased it, unable to trust anyone anymore. The message stared back like a ghost, confirming the cracks she already knew existed. She clutched the phone to her chest, rocking slightly, the weight of betrayal pressing harder. Every illusion shattered, every denial burned away. She was left with nothing but the cruel certainty of her ruined life. Emily sat by the window, staring out into the storm, as thunder rolled across the sky. Her hands gripped the curtain tightly, knuckles white, as lightning illuminated her pale face. She whispered, "Everything was a lie." The words tasted bitter. Her mind replayed Michael's promises, vows of love, trust, devotion, now hollow echoes. Anger surged within her, fiery and consuming, colliding with despair, until she felt split in two. She thought of confronting him, screaming until he had no place left to hide. Yet fear held her back, chaining her to silence. Tears blurred her vision, but when the lightning flashed again, her reflection in the glass looked fierce, no longer fragile. For the first time she realized she might fight. Emily's phone rang suddenly, its sharp tone slicing through the silence of her room. She hesitated before answering, her hand trembling as she pressed it to her ear. A familiar voice cracked on the line, her estranged mother, Linda Datang. "Sweetheart, there's something I never told you." Emily's chest tightened as dread flooded her veins. Linda's words were shaky, heavy with guilt. "Michael wasn't honest with you, and neither was I. He knew things about our family that you didn't." Emily's eyes widened, her mind racing with questions. Her mother's sobs filled the line, breaking the fragile wall Emily had tried to build. "What do you mean?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling. Her stomach dropped as she realized this betrayal stretched beyond her marriage. It was rooted in blood. Linda's voice cracked as she confessed, "I never told you the truth about your father. He wasn't the man you thought. Michael knew, and he used it against you." Emily's hand clutched the phone tighter, her knuckles white as anger mixed with disbelief. "You're lying," she whispered, though her voice faltered. Linda sobbed, insisting, "I kept it from you to protect you, but Michael found out. He's been holding it over me, over us." Emily's world tilted, the ground slipping beneath her. Betrayal wasn't just from her husband, it was woven through her own family's secrets. She pressed her forehead into her palm, fighting to breathe. Everything she thought was real had unraveled into lies layered on lies. Emily's mind replayed Michael's smug smile, the way he dodged questions with charm. Now she saw it clearly. He wasn't only betraying her heart, he was exploiting her family's buried wounds. She whispered bitterly, "You used me, Michael." She pictured his lies, not only about Rebecca but about the very foundation of their marriage. Rage churned inside her chest, heavier than before. She pulled open the dresser drawer, searching for strength in fragments of her past, but every keepsake screamed of deceit. Emily slammed it shut, her breath ragged, her heart caught between fury and despair. "You've been a stranger all along," she whispered, her words slicing the air like a blade. That evening, Sarah returned, her concern etched deep in her eyes. "Emily, what's happening?" she asked, voice urgent. Emily's lips trembled as she confessed, "Michael knew about our family secrets. He's been using them." Sarah's jaw tightened, anger flashing across her face. "He did this to you?" Emily nodded, the tears spilling faster. The betrayal no longer belonged to her alone. It now belonged to her bloodline, poisoning their shared past. Sarah gripped her sister's shoulders and said fiercely, "You don't deserve this. He's nothing but a coward." For the first time, Emily saw rage mirrored in someone else, and it made her feel less alone, though no less broken. Alone again, Emily stared at the ceiling, the truth echoing like thunder inside her chest. Betrayal wasn't just a crack in her marriage, it was a shattering of her identity. Michael had twisted her family's silence into a weapon, and Rebecca had joined in tearing her life apart. Emily whispered, "I don't know who I am anymore." Her body trembled as she lay curled on the bed, arms wrapped around herself like fragile armor. Yet deep within, a spark flickered, rage that refused to die. The stranger she had married had stolen her trust, her peace, and her history, but he had not destroyed her entirely. Not yet. Emily stood in the rain-soaked street outside Rebecca's apartment, her heart hammering as headlights streaked by. Her fists clenched as she whispered, "No more silence." She had spent weeks drowning in betrayal, and tonight she would confront the truth head-on. Her breath fogged in the night air as she climbed the steps, every muscle trembling between fear and fury. She pictured Michael's face, the lies spilling so easily from his lips, and Rebecca's smile hiding her cruelty. Emily's voice shook as she muttered, "You took everything from me." The door loomed before her, heavy and final, like the threshold of war. The door opened, and there stood Michael, surprise flickering across his face before turning to irritation. "Emily, what are you doing here?" he snapped, his voice sharp. Emily's eyes locked on his, fury blazing through her tears. "I'm here for the truth," she hissed. Behind him, Rebecca appeared, adjusting her robe casually, as if Emily's world hadn't collapsed because of them. "You lied to me, Michael. You lied about everything," Emily cried, her voice breaking. Michael's jaw tightened, his mask slipping as guilt flickered in his eyes. Rebecca smirked faintly, her silence louder than words. Emily's chest heaved, the storm outside nothing compared to the storm raging inside her. Emily stepped inside, her shoes squeaking against polished wood, her breath sharp as she faced them. "You ruined everything," she said, her voice trembling but strong. Michael ran a hand through his hair, muttering, "You don't understand." Emily's eyes burned. "Don't you dare say that. I gave you my life." Rebecca leaned against the wall, arms crossed, her smirk turning cold. Emily's voice cracked as she shouted, "You both betrayed me." Michael flinched, guilt flashing across his face, but he said nothing. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by Emily's sobs echoing against the walls that now felt like a prison. Emily's hands shook as she pulled her wedding ring from her finger, holding it out like a weapon. "This meant everything to me," she cried, her voice raw. "And you turned it into nothing." Michael's eyes widened, his mouth opening but no words forming. Rebecca glanced away, her smirk gone, discomfort breaking through her facade. Emily's tears blurred her vision, but her voice sharpened with rage. "You were never my husband. You were a stranger I let into my life." The words echoed, final and sharp. She dropped the ring onto the table, its metallic clink louder than thunder. The room fell silent, only the storm's distant rumble filling the void. Emily's shoulders sagged, exhaustion swallowing her rage. She whispered, "You don't own me anymore." Her eyes locked on Michael one last time, seeing not a partner, but a hollow shell. Rebecca shifted uncomfortably, realizing the smirk no longer shielded her. Emily turned, walking toward the door, each step heavy but resolute. Her hand gripped the knob, her body trembling as she whispered, "Goodbye, stranger." She stepped into the night, the rain washing her face clean, her tears blending with the storm. The confrontation had left her broken, yet somehow, in her breaking, she had reclaimed her strength. Emily sat alone on her bed, dawn light seeping through thin curtains, painting her face with soft gold. The apartment confrontation replayed in her mind, every word echoing like a wound that refused to close. Her fingers traced the outline of her bare ring finger, the skin pale where love once rested. "It's over," she whispered, her voice trembling but steady. She no longer carried illusions, only the bitter truth. Tears pooled but didn't fall. Exhaustion left her hollow. But there was something else. A fragile strength forming in the cracks. Betrayal had shattered her, yet in the silence of morning, she realized she had survived the night, and that was enough for now. She moved to the kitchen, where Sarah sat waiting, worry etched into her eyes. Sarah rose quickly, hugging her tightly. Emily stiffened at first, then melted into her sister's arms, sobs shaking her frame. "It's done," Emily whispered, her voice cracked but certain. Sarah pulled back, brushing Emily's hair from her face. "You're stronger than you know," she said firmly. Emily wanted to believe her, but the weight of loss pressed like a stone on her chest. She clutched Sarah's hand and whispered, "I don't feel strong. I feel broken." Sarah squeezed tighter. "Broken things can still heal." The words sank into Emily's soul, a small flame flickering in the darkness. Later, Emily walked through the park, the chill air brushing against her skin. She watched children playing, their laughter piercing her chest as she thought of her own. She whispered, "I'll keep them safe." She felt the stares of strangers passing by, yet she kept her head down, lost in thought. The betrayal still burned, but for the first time she felt distance between the wound and her soul. The world continued to move, indifferent to her pain, and somehow that gave her courage. She realized life hadn't ended with Michael's lies. It was only beginning again, painfully, slowly, but hers to reclaim. That evening, Emily tucked her daughter into bed. The little girl stirred, opening her sleepy eyes. "Mommy, are you okay?" Emily's chest tightened, but she forced a small smile. "I will be," she whispered, brushing hair from her daughter's forehead. She kissed her cheek, tears burning her eyes as she pulled the blanket snug around her. "No matter what happens, I'll always protect you," she whispered, her voice cracking but fierce. Watching her daughter drift back to sleep, Emily realized that love still lived here, pure and unbroken. Betrayal had destroyed her marriage, but it could not steal her role as a mother. That was her anchor, her reason to stand again. When the house finally fell silent, Emily stepped outside, the night air crisp and clean. She stood on the porch, staring at the stars peeking through the clouds. Her chest ached, but her breath came steadier than before. "You don't define me," she whispered into the night, words meant for Michael though he wasn't there. The betrayal still weighed heavy, scars she would carry forever, but she no longer felt powerless. The stranger she once called her husband had taken her past, but not her future. She closed her eyes, the cool wind brushing her face like a quiet promise. Tomorrow would not heal her, but tomorrow would come, and she would meet it standing. Emily sat at the dining table, the house dark except for the dim glow of a single lamp. The silence pressed in around her, thick and suffocating. Her phone lay face down on the table, vibrating once, then going still. She stared at it but did not move. Her mind replayed Michael's face, the stranger who had shared her bed, her life, her trust. She whispered, "I never knew you at all." Her voice cracked as the words left her lips. Her hands trembled slightly, gripping the edge of the table, as if grounding herself in this new unrecognizable world. Betrayal had left her hollow, yet the silence revealed a truth she could no longer deny. She was alone, but she was free. The phone rang again, its screen lighting up the dark room with Michael's name flashing. Emily froze, breath caught in her throat. For a long moment, she stared at the glowing screen, torn between anger and longing. Her heart screamed to answer, to demand why, to scream until her voice broke. But her body refused. She whispered, "You don't get my voice anymore." Slowly, she reached out and pressed decline. The silence afterward was deafening, but within it was strength. For the first time since the betrayal, Emily had chosen herself over him, even if it meant enduring the crushing quiet of loneliness. She walked to the window, rain streaking the glass, city lights blurred in the distance. Her reflection stared back at her, pale and tired but unbroken. She whispered, "I don't belong to you anymore." The words shocked her, fragile but powerful. For the first time she saw herself not as a victim, but as a survivor. The storm outside mirrored the storm within, but her reflection was steady now, no longer splintered. She pressed her palm to the glass, feeling the cool surface beneath her hand, as if touching the world she was re-entering. The betrayal would haunt her, but she knew she would rise from it, scarred but not defeated. Later, she sat on the edge of her daughter's bed, watching the child breathe peacefully in sleep. Emily's heart ached, but it also swelled with a fragile hope. She whispered softly, "I promise you'll never live in lies." She kissed her daughter's forehead, her tears dampening her skin. In that moment she realized she wasn't fighting only for herself, she was fighting for her children, for their right to a love that wasn't poisoned by betrayal. The strength she thought she had lost sparked anew. Betrayal had broken her heart, but motherhood gave her a reason to heal. When the night grew still, Emily sat outside on the porch, the chill air wrapping around her like a reminder of reality. She picked up her phone, scrolling through contacts until she landed on Sarah's name. Her finger hovered, but she didn't press. Instead, she set the phone down, exhaling deeply. The silence stretched, heavy but honest. She whispered into the darkness, "I've been alone all along." The words echoed like a confession, but also like a release. The stars flickered faintly above, cold yet constant, and Emily realized the stranger in her life was gone. What remained was her, broken but breathing, and that was enough.